Hi everybody, my name is Margaret. Welcome back to podcast episode number 2. Today in this episode, I just kind of wanted to talk about all the yarn that I have acquired during my time here in Massachusetts. So I have spent my summer here in Massachusetts visiting my grandparents and also doing some freelance work. They live like an hour outside of Boston, and so I've got to experience a few different yarn shops here around the area. It's not many, but this video is either for people in the area that are looking for nice yarn shops, or if you want to just see my yarn acquisitions because you love yarn just like I do, or just you're working on something and you need something to listen to. In this video, I'm going to share all the yarn that I got, the places that I got them from, and just like general feedback that I have about these different places, and also what I want to use this yarn to make. So the first yarn shop that I want to talk about today is Boston Fiber Company. Boston Fiber Company was like my yarn store this summer. I would often go to Boston, specifically SOA, because my grandparents have a gallery. Also, the floor is reflecting light, which is helpful for me, I guess, but if it's too bright, I'm sorry. This yarn shop was right underneath their gallery. And so when we'd spend long evenings there or we'd go visit, I would just pop into this yarn shop often just because I loved it. In the shop, it is sorted from weights of yarn, which is always very helpful for me. Specifically, I liked the DK worsted weight section, and they always had such beautiful selections of yarn. I will say though, as the summer went on, I felt like they had less and less inventory and they never would really restock some of their inventory. But just some yarn that I got the Malabrigo Susurro yarn from Boston Yarn Company. It is the yarn I used to make these shorts, and so fell in love with the yarn as soon as I saw it. And when I went back to get more, because I needed more, I needed a second ball. See, look, it just got dark in here. But why is it like so dark, actually? When I went back to get more yarn, they actually only had one skein left. And at the time, I didn't know how many I needed, so I was gonna buy 2. But luckily, it was only one skein. And they do a thing where when they only have one skein left, they put it on sale for 25% off. So I like saved money overall. I didn't spend an extra $20-something on another skein, and I got 25% off my first one. Yeah, they also have a bunch of knitting books, crochet books. They have a bunch of tools if you need any tools, and they also have this really cool like charity area where you can donate yarn or you can buy yarn that is all at a set price. So it's either $5 or $3. I think there's both prices on different areas, but they will sell the yarn there, and it's just donated yarn. So it could be really good yarn, but it's on sale for a good price. Okay, it's getting bright again. Hold on a second. I also bought a crochet hook there because when I was making these shorts, I crocheted an elastic band on the inside and I needed a crochet hook for that. So that's what I got there. And then recently, it was my last purchase of yarn. Not really, but I went back for the last time a few days ago and I got all of this yarn. This is Cascade yarn Hampton. So this yarn, I got 3 skeins of this. This is also 70% Pima cotton and 30% linen. That's been like my thing this summer. So this yarn, I'm gonna make the Love Loop top, I think, by Simstrikk with this color, because there's no way that I could make a top that has hearts on it without making it in like a red or pink color. I'm pretty obsessed with this color. It's like a corally, deep corally color. I don't know. I just know that I love it. And as soon as I saw it, I knew that I wanted it. I also had posted it on my story, so. And then I got this blue, which I was having such a hard time figuring out what color. Finally, I decided this blue to make the Moonsnail top by Bluee for You. So good thing I got blue, I guess. Anyways, I got 2 skeins of this because it only called for that much, I guess. Pretty excited for that. I'm excited to start working with it. They also have a Swift and ball winder for free for anybody to use, even if it's not a skein of yarn that you bought from them. And I'm pretty sure you can just go up and use it. And so if you're in the area and need to wind some yarn, or you have a bunch of hanks and you need them wound, go to Boston Fiber Company because you can wind your yarn there for free by yourself. Anyways, I forgot to get these wound. I was gonna go back in later, but then we ended up leaving. So that is everything that I got from Boston Fiber Company. I really liked that yarn store. It was a very hip yarn shop with like a bunch of cool options, and also they have a bunch of locally made yarn, which I really love, and so I think that's pretty cool. One more thing that I wanted to add in Boston Fiber Company, they had these super cute stitch cards that showed you different like color work patterns you can do, and that really inspired me. I really wanted to get some of that, but I didn't because I specifically liked the spring option because they had like them all sprawled out on the table. They didn't actually have a package spring option, so yeah. Anyways, we'll be done with Boston Fiber Company. The next store that I want to talk about is Aunt Margaret's. Aunt Margaret looked very spacious and looked like they had a lot of things. So when I was going through, they had a lot of kind of like baby yarn, they had acrylic yarn, and I didn't find a lot of yarn that I personally would use. And so some of the colors were also just not really colors that I lean towards, and I think Aunt Margaret was there, and I think she owned the shop. A bunch of cool things, a bunch of garments, and a bunch of little notions and everything at the front of the store. They also had buttons, which was so wonderful for me because I've been looking everywhere for buttons. I'm working on the Dagmar jacket, if you saw my last podcast, and I need the perfect buttons for that. Anyways, the buttons that I found were perfect for the Olga jacket that I'm working on, which I'm gonna try to find real quick. So these here were the buttons I found, and I got enough. I got 6 buttons, so it's pretty average amount. Oof, and just opening these up make me so excited. These ones are the ones I'm going to use for my Olga jacket. Look at them. I got 6 of them. They have like that pearlescent vibe to them a little bit, but they're still like green, you know? Is that not just going to be... Look at how cute that's going to be. I think that's going to be adorable. I'm so excited for that. And then this here was the other type of button that I got. Again, like kind of shiny a little bit. Anyways, starting my button collection. I hope one day to be an older lady who has the best collection of buttons you've ever seen in your entire life. Anyways, so these are my buttons. That is what I got from Aunt Margaret's. I don't think I got much else. She did have nice yarn, just none of it was really anything that I was drawn to particularly, but it was cool. The next place I want to talk about is Circle of Stitches, which is in Salem, Massachusetts. Like, I know Salem, Massachusetts is like the witch town, but me and my mom were driving through and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are they getting ready for Halloween already? Because there's a bunch of witches and Halloween decorations out and about in the middle of summer. Anyways, I loved that yarn shop. We kind of went to that yarn shop on a whim. When we went in, it was just like lovely. Like, they had knitting for Olive, all types of knitting for Olive. They had like their cotton merino. Never seen their cotton merino or their silk in person, but I did, and I was so tempted to buy it all, but I knew I didn't have a project for it, and I know that I can buy it online, and I might as well not buy it in person and spend a lot of money and let it sit in my stash until I know what to do with it. I was like in love, pretty much. They had so many like books and like little goodies and knickknacks and everything. So me, my mom, and Giselle, we went, and my mom took Giselle out around the place and like went for a walk, but I really wanted her to come in because I think I needed the emotional support because I was so overwhelmed and excited that I wanted to buy and touch everything. And so finally they came back. I ended up buying some yarn, which typically like I don't do on a whim, but I saw this and I fell in love with it, and it helped because it's a local dyer. The brand is called Toil and Trouble, and it's hand dyed from the Witch City, so that is Salem, Massachusetts. Is the sun gonna go away, or are we gonna need to turn it down a little bit? So this here was the yarn that I bought. It is 100% superwash merino. Yeah, 100% superwash merino yarn. I just fell in love with the color, personally. I was quite obsessed as soon as I saw it. And it didn't help when the lady that worked at the shop was like, oh, I've been obsessed with that one, because then I'm like getting possessive, and then I bought all that they had, which was 3 skeins, which was good. I don't have any plans for this, but I hope when I go back to school and I get back into my house that I live in, I am going to install like a yarn wall where it's not like a shelf, but it's like the pin boards, like I'll be like a yarn shop, and I'll hang my skeins of yarn up on this, and it'll be my backdrop for my podcast. So the idea with this is that I could probably make some cool colorwork sweater and this be a good yarn to have. Very obsessed with that. Happy with this purchase. Have not looked at this yarn once and regretted it. But what I have regretted a few times was this. I saw the barber cord, like I've seen it like all over, and people love the barber cord, so I feel like I need to get some barber cord. But I saw it and I bought it. I didn't even look at the price, which was kind of expensive, and I'm like okay, it's probably fine. But then one day I went back to Boston Fiber Company and I saw like all of this barber cord is just on a big spool, and it looks like they just cut it to size and call it a day. And so I felt a little bit scammed. It's okay, I'll get my use out of it. You could probably find this on Amazon for super cheap, which maybe if you feel like you need barber cord, which it has been quite helpful, I will say, and it's nice to be able to attach it directly to my needles and then move stitches back and forth so easily. I will say also though, I did rip it a little bit. Like one of them was really stuck on my needle, and I pulled so hard that it broke off and left a little part of it on my needle. But it's okay because they're just cut. I don't know. So I regret that a little bit because I feel like that was a bit of a splurge that I didn't really need to do, and I didn't really need to add on top of my 3 hand-dyed skeins, but it's okay. It's okay. The last place that I want to talk about is South End Yarn Co., which is in Newburyport, Massachusetts. And the first time I went was with my boyfriend. And so went into the yarn shop. I found this beautiful yarn by Juniper Moon Farms, and I was obsessed with it. Like, I was so obsessed. And then I did not end up buying it because, for one, I didn't have anything to make with it, and for 2, it was pretty expensive for like a single skein. We got back and I was talking to my grandparents about it, and my grandfather was like, we need to go back and get you that yarn, but you have to ask them, why is there 6% nylon in it? Because the contents of the yarn was cotton and nylon, 6% nylon. And so he's like, you need to ask why. I'm like, okay, like that's a pretty good deal, I guess. So yesterday, or a few days ago, me and my grandmother went back to the yarn store and it was closed. It has been temporarily closed due to damage, which is really disappointing because they had like Santa's garn. I don't think I've ever said that out loud, but they had Santa's garn, and that was the first time I've ever felt it and seen it in person, because it's always like, I see it all the time, but it's not an American brand. And so that was pretty cool to see. They have a lot of beautiful yarn in there. I wasn't in a place to buy yarn, so I didn't, but they definitely have a lot of beautiful yarn. When we went back, I took a few photos of the place. Anyways, I did actually end up buying Juniper Moon Farm yarn. I bought their Cumulus yarn in the color Goldfish Sparked, and I found it online, actually, a place in Maryland, which is kind of close to where I live when I go back home. So I could have gone, but I didn't. I want to test knit the Filoli top. Beautiful, it's so beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. I got that yarn for it because I saw it in person and loved it, and the rest is history, I guess. I definitely recommend South End Yarn Co. Just look them up online, call ahead to see if anyone's there, because it was super disappointing and they appear to be open. Walking up to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, because there were lights on and everything, but there was nobody in the store, and it looked like someone had gone through and ransacked all the yarn off of the shelves. It's sad. Let's hope that they get better soon. I think that's all the yarn that I bought from my stay here up in Massachusetts. I did buy yarn online. I got a bunch of Knit Picks yarn for the Olga jacket. I got all this for the Olga jacket, and it's good. Like, it's fine. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Also, like, off topic, and if you're this far in, you probably like listening to me talk. But I thought Instagram was supposed to have the mean people that comment mean things on your reels. I'm finding that it's TikTok. I just started posting my things on TikTok because I make the videos anyways, might as well go cross-platform. And people just like continue to share their opinions and everything. Like, I think I had someone block me today because they pretty much told me that the way that I chose to work this and weave in my ends, it's going to fall apart, period. And like, that's it. And then I said, thank you for your concern, but I have woven my ends in for all the time that I have been knitting, and I have not faced any issues. And then I think they blocked me because then someone else responded to them saying, oh, well, yeah, it's insane. I don't know. I deleted that comment thread because I don't tolerate the negativity. Anyways, that's about it. If you see this and maybe you want to go show me some love on TikTok or on Instagram, at Knitting Faye on both my accounts. I did post some slightly different content on TikTok just to kind of rebuttal the haters a little bit, because I don't have anyone hating on Instagram. People are so nice. It's such a nice community that I've built, but maybe because I'm only at like 300 followers on TikTok, people think that I need help or something. That is about it for my video. I hope you enjoyed this second podcast episode of mine, and I hope either you're inspired to make any of the things I mentioned, like any of the yarn that I saw, or maybe found a new yarn shop in your area to go check out. It was lovely making this, and it was lovely to have the process of collecting all of this yarn and footage and stuff for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed everything about it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, probably your week too, or whenever I see you next. And until then, bye. Since we did a PS last time relating to my dog and how cute she is, this was her the entire time on the chair. Except you could see her head was like up here the whole time. And she's so squishy. I also gave her a haircut today, so I hope you think she looks beautiful. Also, don't forget to tell me what you're working on if you're working on something right now. Sorry if this was really last minute ask, but I'd love to know. Or any of the yarn that you found beautiful or exciting. Anyways, bye for real now.